Hello, Professor, and hello, everyone. And we are from Group 1. For this final project, we chose to do the student information system. Here is the introduction to our program. It is a software solution for users to digitize and manage student information more efficiently, providing the best way to support the students' needs. And here is our table of contents. We have description, pitch, UI design, functions, implementation, and code demo. Let's start with description. So this application allows users to manage student information such as adding new students, displaying specific student, update student information, and displaying student information. Written using OOP, more features can be easily implemented in the future. Let's move on to the pitch. So these are the differences between traditional student information system and our modern student information system. The traditional student information system are hard to access, prone to accidents, and inefficient, whereas our program it is easy to access, accident-free, and also efficient. Moving on to UI design, it will be presented by Pagna.
So I will be showing you the flow chart of our application. Okay, so here is our flow chart. So before we start our app, we have two type of role. First, we have the admin, and the second one we have the user, or we call it the register. So here, if your role is an admin, you can log into our system. And when you log in, you can manage user, manage student. And yeah, if you choose manage user, you can display the user information, add new user, update existing user, or delete user. And the same for student, you can do those things too. And here is your role if can only this student information, add new student, update existing student, and delete student. So here, if you are an admin and you want to display all user, here is if you want to display all user, and if you want to show more detailed information about each user, you can choose display user by name. And then when you import the username, it will show all the detailed information about those user. Next, we can add new user. Admin can also add new user. So we need to import the user number, username, role information, and password. And here, if the admin add the user that is already name, and so the admin can also update the information about the user. And when the admin enter the username that is not in the system will print saying not found, the user is not found. But if the user is found in the system, you can modify username, password, email, etc. And here is if the admin want to delete any user, they can do so by enter the username. And like before, if the username is not found, it will print this message not found. And if it is found, there will be another message asking, are you sure? And then it will be deleted successfully. So, and yeah, and this is if the admin or the user want to exit the program, just type number 0 and then 0 again, and then the program will be exited. So that is all for the flow chart of our app. moving on, we have
okay, now let's moving on to the part 4 of our presentation, which is function. So for function, we have dividing the role of our system into two types, which is an admin or a normal user, or we can call it a registrar. And for admin, they can manage user and manage student information, but for registrar, they can only manage student information. And here is just adding more detail about our function. We have create, remove, update, and display student and user information. We can also have a simple search and sort data by username as well. And here, let's moving on to the part 5, which is the implementation part. Yeah, we use different technology and technique in our project. For technology, we use VS Code as a text editor to write our C++ code, and then we use Git and GitHub to store our source code and keep track on what we have updated so far. And it also helps us to collaborate, working together efficiently too. And for language and library, of course, we use C++, we use regular expression to have a validate one user input. We use vector to store our user data into an array. And for technique, yeah, we use object-oriented programming. We use file to store user data, but unfortunately, this library has some problem with Windows, so we cannot test it out very well. And then we also use exception handling, as I mentioned before, to validate one user input. Yep, now let's moving on to code demo and the application demo. Here, let me run our code first. And yep, here the starting point of our application. So here, the first screen that you see is the login screen. So if I type in number 1, I will log into the system. Let's say I enter the correct one, the incorrect one, something random like this, and then it will ask us to input again. In the system, I have two pre-registered users, which is one for admin and one for a normal user. So let me log in for the admin role. Say admin add 123 for the password, and then here it's so the UI like this. We can manage user, manage student, and back to the home or the welcome page. So now let me choose the manage user, and we can, as I mentioned before, we can display, add, update, and delete the user information. And for the function, these two functions, load user and sell user to file, it is not working. As I mentioned, we have problem with Windows. Yep. And then let me choose number 2. I will add 2 new user. Let's say, yep. Then password. And then the role, let's say a normal user. Yep. And then the system will ask me to include one more user or not. I will include one more. And then this time I will input the incorrect one. The invalid username. For example, here something like this. Contain special character and number. So the system will ask me to input a valid one. So this time let me input the right one. And for the password, we also validating it also. But to save our time, we test only one for this function. So let's import the correct password. And then for all the normal user too. Yep, successfully. I don't want to add anymore. Now let's display the user that we have entered earlier. Let's display all user, and then you see it will display like a table. Yep. What if I choose to display user by name? Let's choose display data. Yep, it will display in detail, something like this. Yep, that's all for our add and display function. And now let's move into our update function. As Pagna have mentioned in the UI earlier, we have 4 options: modify username, modify everything, modify password, or modify role. So in this case, I want to modify only username to save our time. Let's type in number 2. And then when user, I want to modify, let's say Rata again. And then I want to enter a new username, let's say Yaya. Yep, let's display again. Yep, here you can see Rata has been updated to Yaya. So it worked fine. And then moving to the last function, which is delete user. Let's say I want to delete Yaya. And the system will ask me, am I sure? And then, yep, display again. Yep, you can see user Yaya has gone. Yep, that's all for the user part. And let me back to the main menu. Back again. And then this time log in as a normal user. User 1. User 1 at 321. And then here I can manage student like the user also. So the different part is the information of the student is different from the user. Let me just simply show the add function only this time. So let's say I want to add yeah again. And then man, and then phone number. Here you see I put in the angle bracket. It means that user must input something like I show in this pattern. If they don't, it will ask them to input again. Let's say I input the wrong one. Yep, it will ask to input again. And this time, fill in the correct one. Yep, the birthday, the month of here. Postal code where they live. Pen. Anybody okay, insert. Yep, I don't want to add more, just display. Yep, display all students. It will show in the table like this in summary. And then I will display one more in detail. 2. Yeah. Here I will display all the information related to the user. So for the rest of function, it is the same as the user that I told you about, and it works perfectly. We have testing it already. So now moving on to the code demo part. Yep. So let's start with the main CPP. .cpp. Yeah, we have only one object, which is application rearrange. So everything we write in this function, in this class. So by doing this, our main function is clean and clear. So you can see here we have one application, which is the version 1 that we have. We mess up everything in this application, and then we consider to rearrange it and clean it out. So that here is the final one. We have only 100 lines of code. Yeah, the simple of this class is that it show the UI to the user, and it use enumeration to use with speakers, so we can improve the readability of our program. Yeah, here if user log in as an admin, it will show something like this to manage user. And if the user is user, the normal user, it will show only the interface that modify on user information. Yep, I think that's it for this class. Then moving on to the next one, which is presented by my team member.
So move on to the authentication part. So for this class, we have the authentication class. So basically, it's just to get the username and password and role of the user of the admin. So if the user or the admin enter it correctly, the application will start. And if not, the application will ask user to enter it again. And next, we have the exception handling part. First, we have bad input. If the user or admin enter something that is not what we require, what we put, it will return message invalid input. And for the found not found exception, it is for the for the load user or save user part, but as Samnang already mentioned, it doesn't work for Windows, it only works for Mac, but the code works perfectly fine. So yeah, next we have the student duplication exception. So this message will be displayed if the admin or the user try to add a new user that is already in the system. So if they do it, they will this message will appear. So next we have student was not found. Example, if the admin or the user want to modify a student information, and when they try to search for the student, like when they want to modify some student, they enter the name that is not in the system, this message will appear. So it's the same for the user, and user duplicate and user not found is the same as student. So yeah, just different user and student. And next we have the file util. So yeah, this is for the load and save user also. As already mentioned, it only works for Mac, but the code is perfectly working fine. And next we will be having student module or student user, which my friend Areykal will be presenting.
Okay, since student module and user modules are very similar, I will only present about the user module. So let's start with apply user service. So this CPP files basically shows up when the user is logged in as an admin. So it will display the different menus to manage user and also modify and also use the different functions of an admin. And moving on to get choice. This is to verify the user's input. So it will only accept numeric numeric characters using the library regular expression. And the user.cpp file is for setting and getting user information and also validating their input. For example, the input the password check. Yes, here we use a constant regular expression. So the user must input the same pattern that we set, unless or else it will not work. And same goes for the role regular expression. Okay, let's move on to user service. This is just to we use vector in this case to contain our user in the user list. And we can add users and also displaying the user's information in this function. And user service DAO is only for a bunch of virtual void functions that we use to access the functions. And we can now go back to the PowerPoint slide. So to end our presentation, we have a quote from the C++ creator. There are only two kinds of languages, the ones people complain about and the ones nobody uses. And here is the reference of our project. It is a new and improved version of our student information system from Computer Science A, Spring 2022. And the link to the past project will be provided in the comment section of our discussion.
Yep, that's it for our presentation. Thank you for your attention. Bye bye.